This is Filthy Frank. He is this character is made by a guy named George Miller, who had to basically leave this character behind to pursue another aspect of his career, which is making music. And so
this guy is
yeah, Filthy Frank is George Miller, and he had to
Filthy
leave.
Frank is the character in pink.
Yeah, and he basically had to kill off this character to have a different career. So let's take a look at this story.
This is George Miller. His artist name is Joji. He's a musician whose music has been described as a blend of lo-fi hip-hop. His songs have a dreamlike quality to them, a sort of down-tempo and melancholy theme. But before playing for crowds, he was this.
Hey, you dirty bags of menstruation! It's Filthy Frank here!
Some time, money.
Vomit,
So
racism,
weird.
ableism, health code violations, animal abuse.
If you had no knowledge of Joji prior to his music, it's hard to believe these two things came from the same person. With cancel culture and the implicit bias of internet personalities from mainstream media, it's understandable why Miller would want to separate the Joji and Filthy Frank brand. Miller creates this complex omniverse starring a cast of unsavory characters. Though that description fits any channel that creates skits, Miller may have produced the most offensive show on the internet. Filthy Frank videos are very crude and just plain gross. Don't get me wrong, they are all that, but it's satire. Filthy Frank embodies everything someone shouldn't be. He's anti-PC, anti-social. He often reacts in manners of racism, misogyny, homophobia, illegally, and everything bad you can think of. But it's done over the top and purposeful to highlight the stupidity, hypocrisy, and ignorance people can have on social media and the internet.
You know what this kind of reminds me of is Stephen Colbert. Like when he was on the Daily Show and he was playing like a ultra like conservative like news type, but he was playing.
He knows it so well,
right? But he was playing
that's like his background.
He was playing himself, even though the character he was playing didn't necessarily have the views that he was portraying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's Filthy Frank and Joji. But let's see the types of people that Filthy Frank drew in.
Quote unquote edgy content, just as Miller has, of course, comes with its problems. I think George Miller himself admits that because he has deleted or privatized some of his old videos, and he hasn't really faced any major backlash where he's canceled, like PewDiePie on the internet. Every month he seems to be canceled. Like, he hasn't faced really major backlash like that, so it kind of shows that he doesn't stand by that type of content anymore, or he doesn't want to associate
because
with
people
it.
didn't take it seriously.
No. People did.
What?
Take a look.
Him dressed like that and looking like that, people took that seriously. I can understand why they would take PewDiePie seriously. Some of his jokes are hard to... But this is like over the top, like...
Yeah, this is Psych IRL, by the way. She's like a psychologist or psychology
YouTuber.
researcher that turned YouTuber. So she has an interesting insight on these things. But yeah, let's take a look at what she has to say about the types of people that were attracted to Filthy Frank.
Is it drew in people who just didn't understand the humor. It drew in two types of people. One, people who saw the videos, took them seriously and were offended by it. I guess it's kind of understandable, but also not. I mean, he's making this voice, he's wearing something ridiculous, his behavior is sporadic and all over the place. It's kind of hard not to see why this wouldn't be satirical. This is obviously not a real
he's
person.
Just trying to
and the second type of person it drew in was the person who took the video seriously and actually agreed with him. Both people equally as bad. Again, this is obviously a character. Why would you agree with this? He's clearly making fun of this type of person he's portraying by acting so ridiculous and outrageous.
That's the crazy thing. It's like when you act ridiculous and outrageous, there's someone out there that agrees with it, and they're like, "Oh, finally, someone like me." Yeah, and it's like
he's portraying what I feel.
Yeah, it's like the Trump phenomenon.
It's like, and you think that's right? No, I mean those people who feel that way. I'm like, how is no one correcting them?
Yeah, and so I think this is why he felt like...
Oh, maybe because there's so many followers. So they must be thinking, I'm not the only one. Look how popular this guy is.
That's true. Yeah, he has...
And they're projecting, thinking that everybody else feels like they do.
Yeah, that channel Filthy Frank had like 7.5 million subscribers. Had a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah. All right, let's see the character that he's playing himself.
YouTube, on the other hand, is associated with the raw and real people. So some of Miller's fans often attach him to his created characters.
Like, I like making funny faces. I'm a silly guy. Like, if I like make a silly face, like that's my face. But people are like, oh, like there's still a bit of pink eye in him, and I'm like, yeah, I guess there is. But it's really just me making a face.
I think what really makes it difficult for people to disassociate George Miller and Filthy Frank
has the
fact that Miller has to play the character himself. In addition to that, the medium is on YouTube. And like I said before, YouTube is a place for raw, real people. So you place a character all of a sudden there, and that's what people are going to expect. Because of that, people just do not understand the humor.
So what this reminds me of is when someone in Hollywood gets just typecasted in a role or just remembered for one role.
Yeah.
And so...
he's just trying to reinvent himself. But he can't scrub the internet.
Right, so that happens...
like they can't pull those movies away.
Happened to Pierce Brosnan. You can only see him as like James Bond or 007. It happens to Daniel Radcliffe. You can only see him as Harry Potter.
No, he's done lots of other things since then.
Can you name one?
I don't watch a lot of movies.
That's what I'm saying. People can only see Harry Potter when they look at him, and I think that's what Joji's
Well, I know Elijah
problem
Woods
is.
did much more, but all I can think of is Lord of the Rings.
No, I
I know for sure he's done way more than that.
No, and I think that's what's the issue with being popular for like one thing. Even though you have success in other properties, people will only see you as that one character.
Well, because there are some fans that fell in love with you because of that character.
Yeah.
So,
like
the people who might love Elijah Wood might have been a newer generation who saw Lord of the Rings. But I'm like, I remember liking him when he was just a kid because I was young too.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he's like
but
such a good actor.
But
And
people will always remember him for Frodo because that's like the biggest thing he's in. And Mark Hamill for Luke.
I'm like, there's so many other movies I've seen him in that I enjoyed before that, and I can't remember it. But
I think it's like
if
people know Joji, it's like his most popular work, at least right now, is Filthy Frank. And I think that's why it's so hard to disassociate him from it, is because Filthy Frank is so popular. Like, and because it's on YouTube still, and it's followers. A meme. There's a lot of memes about. I've seen the memes.
This is the first time I've seen him. I'm like, who the heck is Filthy Frank?
Yeah, it's so weird. The first time I saw him was actually today too. I saw this video first.
He reminds me of Hard Gay.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
American Hard.
That's why I was like, is he in Japan? Because Japanese. I'm not gonna try to understand some of their humor or their storylines.
Gen Z Hard Gay. He's 4chan Hard Gay. He's like,
yeah. So all I remember is just like, he kind of reminds me of Hard Gay, or some of the Japanese humor that I'm like, it's meant to be funny. Like,
he's awesome.
Why would you take it seriously?
I actually think his humor is really. We watched a bunch of videos together before we did this video, and the first few videos was really off-putting, but then
it is off-putting when you're like don't know what it is.
Right, but then when I watched his loser reads haters comments, I was like, oh wow, this guy is really. It made me feel like he was really smart for some reason. I can't like. He seems
satire like that. You have to understand the nuances.
Well, yeah, he's very well poised too. I don't know. I think he's really interesting, and his music is really good. All right, so let's see. Why did Filthy Frank have to die?
Because people wouldn't separate.
I believe they get into a lot of arguments often. It's quickly unifying though, from what I've seen. When I'm out on the street, it's 50-50. They call me out for the work that they know me for. So, the people who are still attached to my old work, that's fine. Pee Wee Herman will always be Pee Wee Herman, right? So even if he went and ventured on some other shit, like people are gonna know him as Pee Wee, no matter what. I expect people to latch on to what they first discovered me as, just as well as I might like an artist for their older stuff.
I believe an official statement as to why I am now done with comedy is owed to my former fan base, of which I am extremely grateful for. And while it genuinely pains me to express this, I do hope the reasons below may provide some insight to my decision. Unfortunately, I no longer enjoy producing the content. Several serious health concerns, including but not limited to throat tissue damage and neurological conditions that I prefer not to get into. The decision is final. I really can't express just how grateful I am to you all, nor will I forget the relationship we had together. Moving forward, it is up to you whether you'd like to join or not. In any event, I will strive to continue creating and develop projects I am passionate about, and hope you'll succeed in doing the same. Joji.
Oh my god, he had throat damage.
Yeah,
So when
you can't be talking like that.
Yeah,
I was
so-
like, that's not his normal voice.
if you don't see his videos, he's like, yeah, he's like making him like this. I can't even do it. This is filthy Frank. I can't even do it.
It's like a smoker. No.
You know, he sounds like Batman. Like if Batman was if Batman was trolling, that's what it sounds like. But yeah, like
not good for
metal
your throat
artists,
box.
they can't like do the screamo too much. Like you can't use your throat like in that way forever. And so like, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, the voice box has specific
Especially if he wants to sing.
muscles and they have to remain flexible, and if you damage it, you're causing scar tissue. And then some of them, if you have surgery, you can't sing after. It's like,
So I think he's really interesting because Dave Chappelle, was it Dave Chappelle? Has a quote where he says, every artist, every comedian wants to do music, every musician wants to do comedy. And he seems to be like a guy that has done both like very well. and I think like George Miller is like a genuine like artist, and that's why like he wanted to like, he was so passionate about like Filthy Frank and like making it, and that's why it was so good. But then, you know, like he lost interest, or the project finished like for him mentally, and so he moved on and created another great project called Joji,
to put his
which
energies into.
yeah, and he's like Jared Leto. You know Jared Leto, he's an actor, but also he has 30 Seconds to Mars. He's YouTube Jared Leto. All right. Yeah, if you want to check out George Miller stuff, go look at Filthy Frank.
Don't take it seriously.
Yes, please don't take it seriously. Visit Psych IRL. I'll link her. Also, I watched a ton of her videos. She's very cool. She lives in LA, very close to us. And then check out his new stuff, Joji Miller. If you like lo-fi music, beats to study to, this might be right up your alley.
What's lo-fi mean?
What does
Low
lo-fi
fidelity?
mean? Maybe. What is? Yeah.
You say lo-fi.
Lo-fi. I know they spell it like that. I don't. They say lo-fi hip hop. That's how she described it too, and so that's why I was just repeating. But what does it stand for? I think low fidelity. Maybe low fidelity doesn't make sense, because why would you want it to be? Anyways, forget it. If you know what lo-fi stands for, let us know in the comments. Guys, check out our merch store. If you don't have buds, they're on there, but we're your buds in case you don't have any. We also have this joint holder.
Yes.
Ash
catcher.
We've tried a lot of things. Crutches.
Catch all your ashes.
We've basically gotten every.
We're Pokemon.
We've gotten
getting
every
back at Ash.
accessory, but this is the only one like we use with every single
All the
joint,
time.
because one, I don't like burning holes in my clothes. It's really annoying. But two,
I don't burn holes. The ash
no,
just
but it's like,
comes out.
yeah,
Like,
the
it's
ash comes
obviously
out. It
everywhere.
pours on yourself. It's anyways. So go check out our merch store. And
Yes.
all right, we'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.
If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe.